Thanks, Z. And I'm going to send it right to Coach Helena for our morning.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. And here we are again. It's Wednesday morning, and we follow the same recipe. We learn from others, wisdom from others, and then we have a physical practice, and then we end with a seated meditation. Even though we do the same thing every Wednesday, at least it's my experience, and I would imagine it's your own experience too, that every practice is different. Okay, so what does Dalai Lama have to say today? Since compassion is the wish that others should be free of suffering, it requires above all the ability to feel connected to other beings. We know from experience that the closer we feel towards a particular person or animal, the greater our capacity to empathize with that being. It follows then that an important element in the spiritual practice of developing compassion is the ability to feel empathetic and connected, and to have a sense of closeness with others. Buddhism describes this as a sense of intimacy with the object of compassion. It is also called loving kindness. The closer you feel towards another being, the more powerfully you will feel that the sight of his or her suffering is unbearable. Okay, so with that in mind, let's take our seats. So what did I hear from Dalai Lama? He's talking about compassion, and it's interesting. I often hear this word, and we should be compassionate and so forth. But he is actually describing what compassion is and how we can practice it. And what I heard is that to develop compassion, I need to practice my ability to connect or feel connected and empathize with other beings, other people, or other animals. Okay, so let's find your seat, sit up tall. Maybe bring your awareness to your feet, lifting the heels, lifting the toes. And then shifting your awareness to your sitting bones, feel those two sitting bones. And maybe today allow the sitting bones to stand for connection and empathy. Those were the two words that I heard that leads to more compassion. So connection and empathy. So how can we develop more connection and more empathy? And if we do that, compassion is going to come. Maybe go from side to side. And compassion, what is compassion? The wish that someone else is free of suffering. The wish that someone else is free of suffering. And then maybe use your fingers, find the crown of your head. So one part of you is rising up towards the earth, and another part of you is yielding to earth. So we're growing or we're expanding in two directions. Maybe allow to drop down to the mid eye or midbrain, third eye, midbrain. You can close your eyes if you want to. And maybe think about the words compassion, connection, empathy, free of suffering. What does that look like to you? The wish for someone else to be free of suffering. And then start the cat-cow movement. Notice how the breathing, how the breath body and the physical body move together. Maybe just notice, when do you inhale and when do you exhale? What comes natural to you? And then find your way back to neutral. Stay there for a few moments. Maybe bring your awareness to your breathing. Notice the inhale and the exhale. And then maybe notice what part of your physical body is moving when you're breathing. So what part is expanding on the inhale? And what part is releasing on the exhale? Just notice, don't judge. And then look at your hands. Look at your beautiful hands. And then open and close like blinking, bubbling stars. And imagine all the actions that you can take with your hands. And we want those actions to be skillful. In yoga, we talk about skillful action. Skillful action. Clasp the hands, turn them over, straighten the elbows, breathe. So what does skillful action look like when it comes to compassion? Maybe inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. And then reach and reach and reach and reach. And then turn, let the arms go wide, look behind you. Maybe think about sometime in the past when you connected with another human being. How did you do that? How did you connect with another human being or an animal? And then release. Lift the shoulders a few times. Lift and release. Lift and release. And then look at your hands again. Blinking, bubbling stars. All the way up. Clasp the hands. Turn them over. Straighten the elbows. Breathe. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And then reach and reach and reach. And really notice when you're reaching how the skin is stretching and the lungs are opening up. And then turn, let the arms go wide, look behind you. And maybe think about in the past when you empathized with another person. How did you feel empathy for another person? And then release. Lift the shoulders a few times. Okay, now look at your fingers. Put your fingers in some kind of paint. And then think about that connection. How do we connect with people? And then draw or paint a picture of how to connect with another person. What does that look like to you? Draw a picture. What does connection look like? And then release. And then look at your other hand, put your fingers in paint. And then think about empathy. What does empathy look like? What does empathy look like to you? Just draw a picture of empathy. And release. And then bring your arms in cactus, and then go between connection and empathy. Connection and empathy. Connect, empathize. Connect, empathize. Okay, and then let the knee and elbow connect. Knee and elbow connect. Maybe think connect, empathize, connect, empathize. And then cross the midline. Okay, now let's use the body to do a loving kindness practice. So think about a person that you really like, someone you love or care deeply about. So imagine that that person is your knee and you are your elbow. So think about that person or an animal, like I could pick Ginger, an animal or a person that I really care about. And then I'm going to connect to that person and stay connected to that person. So think about that person or that animal, all the things that you like about the person, how you feel when you connect to that person. Stay connected and wish them to be free of suffering. And then release. And now pick a person that you don't really know. It could be a person in the grocery store that you know by sight, but you don't really know the person. Someone that you don't really know, so it's hard to care deeply for someone that you don't really know. So think about that kind of person, and that would be your knee, and you are your elbow. Connect to that person. Think about that person, what they look like, where you see them. And then wish that they also be free of suffering. And then release. And now the hardest part of all, pick a person that you don't really like. Someone that maybe hurt you or did something that you disagree with, someone that you don't really like. And then think about that person, bring both knees up, connect to that person, see that person, think about that person, and then wish them to be free of suffering too, even though they might have hurt you. Wish them to be free of suffering too. Stay connected. And release. Okay. With a wide and stable stance, this kind of practice is easier to do. So wide and stable stance. So maybe go in between a person you don't like and a person that you care deeply for. So someone you don't like and someone you care deeply for. And both of these groups, according to the Dalai Lama, we want to wish them free of suffering. So wish them to be free of suffering, whether you like them or not. Just imagine to wish all beings to be free of suffering. If we do that, I think world peace is around the corner. And then maybe include all the other people in between. So we have one group of people we don't like, and we have one group of people that we care deeply for. And then all the people that are in between those two extremes. So that would be most of the people in the world that we don't really know. We haven't met them, we don't know them. And so to all the people that you don't really know, wish them to be free of suffering. And that's probably like 99.9% of the population that we don't know. We have no idea who they are. And imagine if they all were free of suffering. Then I think world peace would be right outside our door and inside our homes. All right. And then imagine how you're jumping your feet together. So use your core, jump your feet together and land in Tadasana. Okay, now look at your toes, spread your toes, dip your toes in ink, and imagine writing a story. So we work with the library. Imagine writing a story about connection. So write a story about connection. How did you connect? How did you connect with someone? Write a story about connection. And then step out wide, elbows to knees, fingertips together. Breathe. And then release down, drop the head. Inhale, come back up. And then place that foot on top of the knee. Take your fingers, open up the toes. And you can think about the toes as all the people in the world. So even though the toes are separate, they are, when you go back, they are connected with the foot. So even though it looks like we are all separate, we are connected in some way. So maybe imagine how you wish all these little toes to be free of suffering. And if you do that, the entire foot and the leg is also going to be free of suffering. And then slide the knees together. Whatever leg is on top, that arm goes under. Give yourself a hug. And then wish that you are also free of suffering. Wish that you are free of suffering. World peace starts with me. And then find your version of eagle. So maybe imagine an eagle that's flying around out in the world, wishing people and animals to be free of suffering. So look at that eagle. Look at that eagle flying around in the world, wishing everyone to be free of suffering. And then allow the wings to go up high and fly out in the world, and then land on top of a new mountain. Look at your toes, spread the toes, dip them in ink. And then write a story about empathy. Write a story about empathy. What would that story so imagine this, or like think about a time when you empathize with someone and then describe that story to someone. Describe how you empathized with someone. Empathy can be learned. Empathy can be learned and empathy can be taught. How would you teach empathy to someone who has not yet experienced empathy? Maybe writing a story about how you empathized with someone. And then step out wide and elbows to knees, fingertips together. Breathe. And then place your left hand on the floor, right hand on the right knee. Inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale, look up towards the sky. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, push into both hands to come a little deeper into the twist. And maybe think about how other people connect to you. What do people do when they connect to you? How do other people connect to you? So you know how you connect with others, but how do others connect with you? And then release down. Inhale back up. Breathe. And then place the right hand on the floor, left hand on the left knee. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, look up towards the sky. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale and push into both hands and come a little deeper into the twist. And then think about how other people empathize with you. Think about how other people empathize with you. And then release. Inhale, come back up. And then place that left foot on the right knee. Use your fingers to open up the toes. And maybe think about the toes as people in the world. People in the world. And it seems like we are separate, but if you follow the toes in, they do connect in the foot and up in the leg and so forth. And maybe look at each of those toes and wish them free of suffering. Wish them to be free of suffering. And then slide the legs together. Whatever leg is on top, that arm goes under. Give yourself a hug. And then think about yourself. And then wish for yourself to be free of suffering. Or I am free of suffering. I am free of suffering. And then find your way to your version of eagle. And maybe this time imagine a bird or an eagle that is already free of suffering and is flying around in the world free of suffering. What does a bird that is free of suffering look like? How do they fly? What do the wings look like? What does a bird that's free of suffering look like? And then let that bird fly out in the world and land on top of the next mountain. Okay, look at those beautiful hands of yours, blinking, bubbling star that can take actions that would maybe make the world a place of less suffering. All the way up, clasp the hands, turn them over, straighten the elbows, breathe. Now look up, release the arms out wide, and then imagine that you are that bird that is free of suffering and you are flying around out there in the sky. What do you look like? A bird that is free of suffering. What do you look like when you are free of suffering? How do you fly? What do you do? And then bring the palms up. Exhale and dive deep. Inhale, fly up high. Exhale, dive deep. Inhale, fly up high. Exhale, this time dive deep and then bring the arms behind you. Hold on to opposite forearms and then stay there. And even a bird that is free of suffering might have some bruises or might be a little tired. So think about that bird. He or she has been out there flying all day free of suffering, coming home and is a little tired. Use that breath to rinse and clean and care for that bird that is free of suffering. And then release one arm, shake it out, bring it up, bend the elbow, place the hand behind your heart, release the other one, shake it out, and then place that one on top. And you can heal your own heart. You can heal your own heart. So all those things that happened in the past, you can heal them. You can heal them. You can turn them from suffering into experience and wisdom and learning. Everything that happened to you in the past, you can turn into valuable assets of experiences. And how are you going to use all those experiences to create a world free of suffering? And release. Okay, well, let's get some muscles in those legs, because if we are going to create a world free of suffering, we have to do some work. So we need some muscles. So transfer your weight forward and up, and then pick a number. I'll pick 10 today. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shake it out, shake it out. Come back up and pick another number or the same. I'll pick 10 again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shake it out, shake it out. And this time transfer the weight forward, come all the way up, and then stay up there. Okay, blinking, bubbling stars all the way up. Clasp the hands, turn them over, straighten the elbows, breathe. And then a little bit of side bending, and then reach and reach and reach and reach. Let the arms go, let the arms go. And then bend the knees and let the arms go. And you can travel around anywhere you want, anywhere you want. And then connecting with the elbow and the knee. How do you create connection? How do you create connection? And then maybe when we cross the midline, maybe that's when we empathize. So how do you empathize with someone else? How do you empathize with someone else? And with connection and empathy comes power, position of power. How are you going to use that power of yours? The power of connection and empathy. How are you going to use it? And then lean and lift, lean and lift. Breathe. And then lean and lift, lean and lift. Breathe. And then take action, take action. So what kind of action can you take today to allow yourself or someone else to be free of suffering? Okay, so let's push something away. So let's push away suffering. So imagine suffering and give it a color or shape or form, and then push it away. Push it away, push it away, push it away, push it away. And it's going to try to sneak back in, and it's going to be hard to resist, but you can push it away, and they're going to keep it away. And then notice when you pushed suffering away, what comes in? What color fills that space that you just created? What color filled that space? And release. All right. Okay, big sun salutations first. So feet hip distance apart. That's a little bit more stable. And let's do a sun salutation. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, up and over. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way back up. Exhale down the midline. That was one. Two more. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, up and over. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way back up. Exhale down the midline. Last one. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, up and over. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way back up. Exhale down the midline. And then stay there, holding your own heart in between your hands with love and compassion. And release. Okay. Big toes to touch, heels slightly apart. Inhale to chair, exhale to Anjali Mudra. Transfer the weight to the left, right heel comes off. Take a big step back, find the earth behind you with the toes and then the heel. Both hip bones are pointing forward. When you have this wide and stable stance with the hip points pointing forward, then bring the hands off the chair. No rush. Blinking, bubbling stars, place your hand in your back pockets. Breathe. And then transfer the weight forward into a warrior 3. Maybe place the hand, reach that arm forward. And then maybe add some movement. And then take the bind. Release the foot down, come back up to standing. Inhale to chair, exhale to Anjali Mudra. Transfer the weight to the right, left heel comes off. Take a big step back. Find the earth behind you with the toes and the heel. Both hip bones are pointing forward. Blinking, bubbling stars. Place your hands in your back pockets. Breathe. And then transfer the weight forward into warrior 3. The opposite arm is reaching forward. Reach, reach, reach. Get taller, taller, taller. And then let the knee and elbow connect. And maybe take the bind. And then release the feet back together and come back up to standing. Inhale to chair, exhale to Anjali Mudra. Transfer the weight to the left, right heel comes off. Take a big step back, open up the pelvic halves, finding warrior 2. One arm in the past and one in the future. Ooh. Flip the front hand, reverse the warrior. And then move from the past into the future. Maybe imagine a world free of suffering. What would a world free of suffering look like? Come back to warrior 2. Hands on your hips, straighten that front knee, release the hand down. Slowly bring the gaze up towards the sky. Maybe let the arm follow. Hand comes down, gaze comes down, back to warrior 2. Hands on the chair, pick up that back foot, look at the toes. And then feet together. Inhale to chair, exhale to Anjali Mudra. Transfer the weight to the right, left heel comes off. Take a big step back, open up the pelvic halves. Finding warrior 2. One arm in the past, one in the future, and you are right here in the present moment. Flip the front hand, reverse the warrior. And then try and move into the future. Think about what would a world without suffering look like? A world without suffering. Come back to warrior 2. Hands in your hips, straighten the front knee, release the hand down. Trikonasana. Slowly, slowly bring the gaze up towards the sky. Maybe let the arm follow. arm comes down, gaze comes down. Ooh, back to warrior 2. Hands on the chair, pick up that back foot, look at the toes. And then bring the feet back together. Okay, finding Tadasana, mountain posture. Big toes to touch, heels slightly apart. Standing up tall. You can feel your hip bones and they are at the same level. Now transfer the weight to the left and nothing happens with the hip bones. And then lift the right heel off the floor and the hip bones are still where they were. And now go from here and create your balancing posture. It could be tree posture, or it could be something else. You choose. And then finding your way back to mountain. You could place your hands on your hip bones, transfer the weight to the right, left heel comes off. The hip bones don't change. And then finding your balancing posture. And then eventually finding your way back down. Okay, spread the toes. Spread the toes. Release the knees down. Stay there. Let the toes open up. Look at your right thumb. Pick a color. Draw a big circle. A circle free of suffering. A circle free of suffering. Then a little dot there. Look at your left thumb. Pick a color. And draw a circle free of suffering. A circle free of suffering. Okay, now pick 2 colors and draw 2 big circles free of suffering. And this time let your hands come in your back pockets. Elbows are moving towards each other. And just sense, what would it feel like to live in a world that's free of suffering? And release. Now let the knees go wide, big toes to touch. Release the hips to the heel and find child's posture. Inhale, come back up. Clasp the hands, create that stable support. Tuck the toes, lean into your support, lift the knees off and come to dolphin posture. And then bend your knees and come back up to standing. Okay, let's move on to the seated meditation. But first I'm going to read the Dalai Lama reading first again. Okay. Since compassion is the wish that others should be free of suffering, it requires above all the ability to feel connected to other beings. We know from experience that the closer we feel towards a particular person or animal, the greater our capacity to empathize with that being. It follows then that an important element in the spiritual practice of developing compassion is the ability to feel empathetic and connected, and to have a sense of closeness with others. Buddhism describes this as a sense of intimacy with the object of compassion. It is also called loving kindness. The closer you feel towards another being, the more powerfully you will feel that the sight of his or her suffering is unbearable. Okay, so now we have about 10 minutes to reflect upon this. So finding your seat, sitting up tall, breathe, and then I'm going to be quiet for about 9 minutes. So let's go. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, gently move your head from side to side. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Bring your hands up in Anjali Mudra, holding your own heart in between your hands with love and compassion. Maybe bow your head in gratitude for this practice, thousands of years old. Thank your inner guide, your past, present, and future teachers, and all the people that are joining you on this journey. Open your eyes, raise your gaze, and thank you so much for practicing together this Wednesday morning. Namaste.